destroy or be destroyed. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well for him with Iran Barkley.
So Hearns and Kinchin coming up later here on Showtime. But first up, it'll be the IBF Middleweight Championship. Michael second to none defending against Juan Domingo Roldan. Many of the experts, Ferdy, feel that Mr. Nunn is the best fighter pound for pound in the world today. What are your thoughts?
Well, off of one good fight, he didn't earn that type of accolade. Julio Chavez is pound for pound the best fighter. Nestle up right next to him is Mike Tyson. What Nunn must do is look very good against Roldan, and then the middleweight picture opens up for him. As he progresses, we will see whether he becomes pound for pound the best fighter.
Well, I'll tell you this, after Nunn's stunning victory over Frank Tate for the IBF Middleweight Championship, he returned home a conquering hero. 1988 has been a year-long celebration for this undefeated world champion. Nunn turned on the boxing world with a power surge that electrified audiences and shocked the middleweight division.
Now that I am a world champion, I realize that I got fighters coming after me now. So that's why I got to keep going to that mountaintop, keep working hard, so when it's all over and done, I can still be champion.
The challenger, Juan Domingo Roldan, has had more experience in world title fights than Nunn. Twice before, he has fought for the middleweight crown. Both times, he was denied. Against marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roldan registered a disputed flash knockdown in the first round. Hagler, the undisputed world champion, would not relinquish his title so easily. He recovered from this setback and stopped Roldan in the 10th. 3 years later, Roldan dueled Thomas Hearns for the vacant WBC middleweight title. The Hammer and the Hitman went toe-to-toe from the opening bell. Hearns survived the onslaught and KO'd Roldan in round 4. But the Hammer is still dangerous.
Of course, he's not a Marvin Hagler, he's not a Tommy Hearns, and the opponent, but of course he's a champion of the world, and I respect him as a champion of the world, but I came to win. This time I came to win.
He's going to take my title because I'm not giving it up, and I don't think he's capable of doing that.
Roldan obviously thinks otherwise. The challenger, Juan Domingo Roldan, in the ring, ranked 6th by the IBF tonight. His 3rd shot at a world title, having lost out on opportunities against marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns. And now, the champion, Michael second to none, into the ring. He lived up to his nickname back in late July with a surgeon-like performance against Frank Tate to win the title. There's a look at the tail of the tape. Nunn is 6 years younger, has the height advantage and the big reach advantage over Juan Roldan. Tonight is the first defense of Michael Nunn. The personable Nunn is 31-0 with 21 knockouts. The IBF rules. Nunn makes his home among the stars in North Hollywood, California, born in Davenport, Iowa. 25-year-old Nunn, one of the bright young stars of the middleweight division.
With the approval of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, this bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. Supervisor ringside is Alvin Goodman, Esquire. The 3 judges are Bob Cox, Dalby Shirley, and Paul Smith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it going with 12 rounds for the IBF Middleweight Championship of the world. The referee for this bout is Richard Steele. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the blue trunks with white trim and weighs an even 160 pounds. His professional record, an outstanding one, 67 victories, 45 by KO, only 4 defeats and 2 draws. Ladies and gentlemen, from Argentina, the number 6 ranked middleweight in the world, Juan Domingo Roldan. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with black letters, he also weighs an even 160 pounds. Originally from Davenport, Iowa, now living and fighting out of North Hollywood, California. Undefeated as a professional with 31 consecutive victories, 21 by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the middleweight champion of the world, Michael second to none.
And the referee Richard Steele with the final instructions for Nunn and Roldan. Two fighters with totally contrasting styles. Nunn, an elusive southpaw with lightning speed. Roldan, a bull. Nunn silenced his critics by displaying KO power. His win over Frank Tate is seen here on Showtime. And he proved that he is more than just a dancer. So he combines lightning speed with knockout power. And we'll see if he can do the same against Juan Domingo Roldan. 67-4-2 with 45 knockouts, 73 total bouts. This is third shot at a world championship, rated 6th by the IBF, against the IBF middleweight champion in the white trunks, Michael second to none, Roldan wearing the blues.
And that, what you've just witnessed, is how that fight, this fight, is supposed to go, which is Roldan has been told, hey, this is a 5-round fight. You got 5 rounds to put this guy away. Do it early. And of course, second to none's got other ideas, because he's got to box, he's got to move. He's a beautiful boxer. Used to being in with guys that are trying to pummel him, and he's just got one of the best styles around right now for avoiding punches.
It's very hard to hit. Uses clever footwork, bobs and weaves darts in and out, and then scores with timely and punishing blows, as he did against Frank Tate. Roldan would love nothing more than to go toe-to-toe with Nunn, but it is not likely that Nunn will abandon his stick-and-move policy to engage in a slugfest.
No, it's Nunn's fight to stay outside, to punch, to try to land an occasional hard. That was a trip. That was a trip. I can't see why they're counting that.
It was definitely a trip. It was right in front of us.
Right in front of us. That was not a knockdown.
Well, it goes in the books as a knockdown in the first round at 110 for Michael Nunn.
There goes that round as far as Roldan's scoring is concerned, because it does count as a knockdown, and that gives him the loss of the round.
Roldan trying to go to the body.
Look at the disparity in size. Nunn extremely tall in comparison to Roldan. Roldan very blocky in comparison to the very slim and trim Michael Nunn.
And the elusive Nunn able to avoid those overhand shots by Roldan. Now Tate, who is no slouch in the quickness department, looked like a lumbering fighter against Michael Nunn. We'll see how it goes for Mr. Roldan. Low blow there. That was blocked by Roldan, fortunately.
Nunn is a beautiful puncher, pinpoint accuracy. I don't think he's got the power attributed to him off of the Tate fight. He has yet to prove that. Previous to that, he had not had big knockout power. So, but what he does have is pinpoint accuracy, and that will knock you out also. You don't have to have just one shot to knock you out.
9 of his last 11 fights by knockout. Despite his slick, elusive style, he does have a 70% knockout ratio, does Nunn. He is so confident, he says if it goes 12, Roldan will be so beat up he'll never fight again.
Well, that's possible due to his advancing age and the economy of Buenos Aires.
And that is it for round 1.
That should be how this fight goes, unless Roldan has some tricks up his sleeve. Roldan cannot corner a younger, more elusive, better reflex, more confident fighter in Michael Nunn. But anything can happen in boxing.
Was it a knockdown or wasn't it a knockdown earlier on in the first round?
That punch missed. That punch missed. There was a shot and tripped over their feet and went down. I didn't think that was a legitimate knockdown. There was a punch, however. I give that credit. There was a punch, but I don't see it as being, I see that as being a trip down. Not an effective punch. In the corner, Roldan is being talked to by Luis Alba. Tito Lecturi, maybe the smartest man in boxing and the most legendary figure in boxing in Buenos Aires and Argentina, is in the corner, and that's a big plus. That's like having Angelo Dundee in the corner.
He guided former middleweight champ Carlos Monzon throughout his illustrious career.
He's guided everybody that came out of Argentina, Peralta, everybody, because he is Mr. Boxing in Buenos Aires.
And round 2 is scheduled for 12 for the IBF middleweight title from Las Vegas, Nevada. Steve Albert along with the fight doctor Ferdy Pacheco. Nunn in the white trunks, Roldan in the blue with the white trim. Roldan involved in the historic bout back in October of '87 when he was knocked out in the 4th round by Thomas Hearns, who won the WBC middleweight title, becoming the first to win 4 world titles on Showtime. He's right here at the Las Vegas Hilton. Now, Roldan looking to bore in, but doesn't seem to phase Nunn.
That fight was interesting because Hearns was on the verge of getting knocked out by Roldan, had landed several hard shots. Remember, keep this in mind, Roldan is the kind of fighter that one shot can get you in trouble. It doesn't have to be to the head either. He punches very hard to the liver, under the heart. He's a very devastating body puncher. Obviously, he's willing to take a lot of punishments. As I said, he's been told this is a 5-round fight. You get it done in the 5th round or else you're in trouble. And so he is trying hard to get to Nunn. Nunn is having the best of it all through the 1st round and again in the 2nd round.
And Roldan, the only man to knock down marvelous Marvin Hagler back in '84. It was a disputed knockdown. Some thought it was a slip, but Hagler came back, stopped Roldan to the 10th for the undisputed world middleweight title.
I am one of the ones that did not think that it was a knockdown. He didn't even come close.
Roldan, a fighter in the truest sense, comes at you from all angles, in sharp contrast to the southpaw, the hard-to-hit, extremely fast Michael Nunn.
Right now, what we've got here is youth versus fading old age. Reflexes versus power.
Roldan at 31, Nunn just 25. Nunn, a National Golden Gloves runner-up at 19, alternate on the '84 U.S. Olympic team after losing in the box office to Virgil Hill. He is now known as Hollywood's champion. Many celebrities like Mr. T, Michael J. Fox, attend his fights regularly.
That might cost him the title faster than an opponent. There's no way quicker to get eaten up than to be the celebrity's darling.
He seems to have a pretty good head on his shoulders, has things in perspective up to this point of his career. Final seconds, round 2.
So far, more of the same. No problem.
A very fresh Michael Nunn returns to his corner with the Goosens. Joe Goosen, Larry Goosen, and Greg Goosen. The manager is Dan Goosen, the leader of Southern California's colorful Goosen clan. Dan manages the fighters of the 10 Goose stable. In all, there are 10 Goosen brothers and sisters, hence the name 10 Goose.
Is that a brace of goose, a covey of goose, a family of Goosen? What is that?
It's geese.
Oh, a family of Geesen.
Yes.
Well, there's a lot of Geesen in there. Everybody's talking at one time. So Nunn must have a wonderful mind to be able to absorb 3 people talking to him at the same time. 3 Geesen.
In fact, one of those Geesen, named Goosen, Greg, is a former catcher for the New York Mets.
So far, no problems for Michael Nunn. He has taken the charges of Roldan, diffused them by excellent counter-punching, wonderful boxing capacity, ring generalship. You're seeing it all here, folks, and this is what it looks like when a very fancy, good boxer, young man, takes on a fading old challenger.
Round 3, it is scheduled for 12. Michael Nunn predicts an early knockout, and he slips. No knockdown, says Richard Steele. It was a slip from the water in the corner.
He did a split. He did a very nice split. I gave him a 10.9 on that.
And now Roldan going to the face of Michael Nunn.
Well, finally, we had the accurate call. That was not a knockdown. Mercifully, they didn't give it to him.
Some of the experts are saying that pound for pound, Nunn is the best fighter in the world today, but that's arguable.
As you said in the opening, it's too early. When a guy has one good fight, I mean, it's a long career before you start calling guys pound-to-pound best fighters. Then you're talking about Monson. Then you're talking about Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson. Those were pound for pound the best fighters.
And of course today, the Mike Tysons of the world and the Julio Cesar Chavez is right up there.
To me, Chavez is the most complete fighter going right now. Tyson's all power, and he hasn't had an opponent yet.
And someday some might include the name Evander Holyfield in that category.
Well, Holyfield and Tyson look like they're destined to meet. Evander's got some work cut out for him with Pinklon Thomas, which we will also present on Showtime.
That'll be December the 9th from Atlantic City.
Well, Evander's got some hard work cut out for him. Pinklon Thomas is not an easy door to get through by any means.
The former WBC heavyweight champion. Michael Dokes will also be on that card. But back to business here. Coming up to 1:10 remaining round 3. Michael Nunn in the white trunks. Juan Domingo Roldan in the blue. And Nunn landing to the head of Roldan.
And Nunn landing beautiful punches. They're very accurate. They're very crisp. Right on target.
Nunn just gaining more confidence as the fight wears on.
And Roldan fading with each ticking minute.
Before the Tate fight, Nunn had the reputation of just being a dancer, but he showed he could punch.
Well, he must believe his press, because right now he is working like a puncher, not like a dancer. He's standing right in front of Roldan, which 2 or 3 years ago could have netted him a big disaster.
Right now, though, he's fighting a 31-year-old Juan Domingo the Hammer Roldan. There's a left that's stung by Nunn.
Roldan is fighting like a fading pampas flower right now. He is just wilting.
Combinations by Nunn to the head of Roldan.
Oh, Nunn is a thing of beauty. You see, a left.
Just before the bell, a crisp left by Nunn.
Boxing beautifully is Michael Nunn. No one expected anything differently, but he's certainly putting on a performance of boxing skill and is getting down to being a puncher, whereas before he was content to fly around the ring barely touching the canvas. Now he is getting down into that canvas. His toes are digging in and he's punching with some authority. That authority I think he found when he pummeled Frank Tate in such a convincing and impressive fashion.
That was back on July 28th right here on Showtime.
Let's take a look at that slip. This is what happens when you put too much ice in the corner and water. Whoop, there's a nice little split. That must hurt. Unless, of course, you're a dancer. I mean,
that was a Baryshnikov move.
Look at the sharpness of punches. And the fact that he's so cool delivering the punches. I mean, he knows he's not going to get hit in return. He is fighting almost with impunity. He knows he can punch and not get hit in return.
Roldan's third crack at a world title. This is Nunn's first title defense, round 4, scheduled for 12 rounds. Nunn in the white trunks, Roldan in the blue. Nunn's immediate goal to unify the middleweight division by taking on Iran Barkley, the WBC champ, Sambu Kalambe of the WBA, and eventually retire as an undefeated champion of the world.
It only took you a few seconds to say that. It's going to take him a few months and a lot of prayers and a lot of luck to get that done. Maybe
Nobody's
a couple
ever
of years.
done it. Nobody's ever done it. Well, he'd like to meet either Barkley or Kalambe in April.
I'd take Barkley if I were him. Barkley has got a punch, but he gets really hurt by people that can punch it with the rapidity and speed. Kalambe is a deceptive fighter. I've seen him on several occasions. He's deceptive. He just beats you every round.
And of course, in that other fight seen here on Showtime, Hearns and Barkley was behind, and Hearns was devastated in the 3rd round.
Behind is a charitable way of saying he was almost going to get knocked out any second.
Oh, his face was just like a map of the Massachusetts Turnpike.
Well, right now, Roldan's face is getting to look like a map of Buenos Aires because he is getting pummeled from every angle. He's breathing hard. His mouth is open.
Nunn put Tate away in the 9th round. This is just the 4th. Less than 1:30 to go.
Frustration building up in Roldan's face. It's getting all lumped up. Under his eyes are getting all bruised. He just can't quite get to the taller man. Not only is Nunn the superior fighter, but physically he is so much taller that when he leans back, he does like Ali did and avoids the punches. However, if he ever gets caught while he's all the way back there, then you can look for him to go sprawling.
Less than a minute remaining, round 4. Roldan, a one-dimensional fighter.
I tell you what I like about Nunn. he is patient. He's like Chavez, like Monzon, like the great fighters. He's willing to take his time. He's willing to fight his fight. He's not going out there for a big killer knockout. He knows that if he fights a scientific and intelligent fight, he'll win this fight in the middle rounds or toward the end. And so he's not pushing. He's fighting his fight. He's not getting excited and fighting any differently. Roldan, on the other hand, has no other way to fight. There's an example. Threw a hard shot and landed up in the ropes. Oh, that was
just cracked shoulders. And now Nunn opens up. Well, that got Nunn mad.
Well, he can't afford to get mad. If he loses his cool and goes toe-to-toe with Roldan, he is blowing that huge edge that he has by youth and experience and reflex.
That'll do it, round 4.
Another easy round for Michael Nunn, who has thus far pitched a shutout.
Juan Roldan being helped out there by Miguel Diaz in his corner. Roldan's 4 defeats, 2 against Hagler and Hearns in his only 2 previous attempts at titles. Prior to those defeats, he was KO'd by Juan Bogato in his 15th pro fight back in '79. He has been in there with some hot shots. And now he's up against the IBF middleweight champion, another shot at a world title, and Michael Nunn.
This is what I call a goodbye fight. It's or in Argentina they call it an adios fight. Okay?
Roldan, who prefers to stand in the corner, has too much coagulant around the face, so Mike Diaz, the cut man, wipes it away, but you can see it pretty evident there.
I never agreed with a guy standing in the corner, unless I thought he couldnn't get up off the stool once he sat down. If he was so beaten that he couldn't get up, I wouldn't let him sit down, but I would not agree with that. I mean, oh, look at, all of a sudden, Roldan coming back because Nunn has just stood still in front of him and let him come on.
Some heavy shots to the body by Juan Roldan.
Yeah, that was just giving him that for nothing.
Roldan trying to chase down Nunn, which can work against him.
How often you see a heavy puncher go for the head that's moving around like a pear when the body is standing right there. I mean, that's the hardest thing to teach a puncher. Go to the body. The body is not moving, the head's moving. Even if you hit the arms, hit something. I mean, after all, as heavy as Roldan can punch, if he was punching the arms of Michael Nunn, Nunn wouldn't be punching as crisply or as sharply. So take advantage. Hit what you can.
Well, I'll say this for Juan Roldan, he is having more success with Nunn than Tate did up to this point. Tate just couldn't catch Michael Nunn.
I don't understand why Michael Nunn is letting Roldan get brave and punching when he doesn't really have to.
Now Nunn bouncing, missing with a wild left.
That's something you infrequently see Nunn do, miss that badly. So sharp are his reflexes that he very rarely misses as badly as that and ends up off balance.
But Nunn landing repeatedly to the head of Roldan.
Roldan wants to get in close where he can do his heavy work and also put his head in. He's been doing a little bit of butting there. It would be a crime if Nunn, with inexperience in fighting, gets cut because of his head, because of the head of Roldan.
Less than a minute remaining, round 5. A solid left by Nunn, a straight left flush on the face of Roldan.
Roldan falling back already.
And that right by Roldan was blocked nicely. Combination by Nunn to the head.
Roldan's fighting like an old fighter. Instead of having all of the spring and bounce of a young fighter throwing punches from all angles, he waits. He throws 1 or 2 hard shots. If they don't land, he has to wait again. I mean, it's the mark of an old fighter. When you get so far, your head is telling you to do it, but your arms aren't doing it.
And Nunn, a picture of confidence. Final seconds.
As well he should be. He's won 4 rounds without any effort at all. Hardly working up a sweat, and he just won the 5th.
Round 5 is history.
hand, you got to start doing it like that. Now,
as we follow Michael Nunn into the corner. 31-0, 21 knockouts. Let's see if we can hear what they're saying.
This is the round. Relax.
It's all right. It's all right. Mike, see that left hand? You still going to sneak more in. Right that head down. Sneak that left hand in there. On the inside, Mike, double up.
Roldan just can't figure out what to do with this young kid, and there really is nothing to tell him. What do you tell a guy when you go back to the corner and he's getting peppered by all angles by a guy who moves like a deer in flight and is getting punched like a moose? There's not much you can say.
Well, it's funny you say that because Roldan's strength has been displayed against wild animals as well, having wrestled bears on more than one occasion in his native land of Argentina.
He wrestles bears.
Hopefully they're muzzled. Round 6. It is scheduled for 12. Roldan with his left arm all the way up, his left hand.
Looks like he's saying hello to somebody.
He was, yeah.
That's ugly. He looks like, hi, how are you?
He was just inviting Nunn in.
Maybe he's saying hello to Bo Derek, who's sitting over here looking pretty.
She is ringside, directly across from us. There's a wild miss by Roldan right through the ropes. Ooh, perhaps a low blow there by Nunn.
Keep him up, says Steele. Uh-oh.
Yep.
The second time I told you.
Richard Steele, the third man in the ring. The first title defense for Michael Nunn after the win over Frank Tate, as he stopped the former Olympic gold medalist Tate in the 9th round right here on Showtime back in July.
This is unexplainable to me. I don't know why. I can't imagine why Nunn would waste his energies. As a 12-round fight, he was barely using up any energy. When you push against a bull of a guy like this, you get tired. I mean, this is a strength fight here. Why? He doesn't need to be a strength fight. He needs to be a runner. That's what he needs to do. Fight from outside. Whoa!
Did you see him line that up?
Yeah, I mean, he threw that from outside the building someplace. And let me tell you, no matter how sharp you are, no matter how good you are, those body blows hurt. A good, solid body blow will take your legs out from under you. A low blow by Roldan.
Roldan has had only 2 fights since losing to Thomas Hearns 11 months ago. A total of 5 rounds. 2 knockouts.
Roldan doing much better this round than he's done before in the previous 5 because Nunn has let him. Nunn has gotten in close to fight with him for some unexplainable reason.
Less than 30 seconds, round 6.
You know, you're still playing with a toy cannon. I mean, not a toy cannon, it's an adult cannon there when you're playing with Roldan. I mean, you're not out of it till the bell rings and they really lift your hand with Roldan. As bad as he looks, and he doesn't look good. One good shot can put the young Nunn on his back. So he must be cautious. He must continue to box and not lose his head.
And round 6 concludes. As we said earlier, a star-studded gathering here at the Las Vegas Hilton, which includes Bo Derek. And another 10. There's the hitman, Thomas Hearns, in his dressing room. And it's rare to call Hearns a challenger, but he's looking to bounce back.
Been many years since you call him a challenger, but he's looking to, you know, he's like a high wire act without a net. I don't know why he feels that he has to be that way, but he's coming out thinking, I'm going to knock this guy out or he's going to knock me out. And it seems pointless because he doesn't need that. I mean, he is a superior boxer. He has got the bigger punch. He doesn't need to risk it as he did with Iran Barkley. And all of a sudden, he was in your lap. I saw you holding him up, see?
Hearns said he's going to go in like a kamikaze against Kinchin. He wants to avoid another Iran Barkley situation, so that should be interesting. It's coming up later on Showtime.
Tell him the kamikazes died at the end of the round.
Got to remember that.
At the end of their ride, they didn't win. They perished.
Round 7 scheduled for 12. Michael Nunn, the defending IBF middleweight champion, against Juan Domingo Roldan.
Roldan doing as well as expected is the most charitable way to say that he is not in this fight as far as scoring. It's a shutout for Michael Nunn. The only thing to be proven here, has Nunn got a punch? So far we haven't seen it. He certainly has not inflicted any damage on Roldan as far as getting him in trouble, getting him weak, making him feel bad. Nice right hand by Roldan just then. That's the kind that can put you in trouble.
Roldan.
Nice uppercut.
Purdy applying the pressure, looking for the knockout blow, hoping that one punch could do it.
And Nunn letting him. That's even more surprising. That's a stiff bill to pay when you start getting 3 or 4 of those heavy right hands on your chin. It starts wearing you out like the Chinese water torture. Roldan doing better and better as Nunn stops being the super fighter and begins to be a club fighter with him.
Roldan just trying to wear Nunn down, but Nunn's still very springy and bouncy.
I tell you, I hate a fighter that wants to prove he can take a punch. I can tell him from experience, most people can't.
Left uppercut by Nunn that snapped Roldan back, but there really wasn't that much power behind it.
Well, he hasn't punched hard now for a few rounds, and Roldan has been doing the leading.
Nunn with combinations to the head.
First bit of good fighting from Nunn. Sharp punches again, but there he is, standing close to him. Why?
And Roldan with an uppercut to the solar plexus of Nunn. That's how Nunn got Tate in trouble the last time out.
Well, history book on Tate is not closed. I'd like to see what happens when he fights in a different weight, because Frank Tate is an exceptionally good fighter. I just couldn't believe the results of that fight. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah.
Nunn took him apart.
He had some difficulty making the weight, and he'll be more comfortable at 168, I would imagine. Final seconds, round 7. The weight here is 160. And that is it for round 7. Pretty good round for Juan Domingo Roldan, who hears it from the crowd.
And Tito Lectori, look at Lectori talking to him. Lectori took him by the ears and started talking to him. He's driving him back across the ring as he's telling him, you can win with this guy standing there. In Spanish, he's saying to him, the man is standing there. Punch him. You can win.
And Roldan remains on his feet, a la Roberto Duran.
Yeah, I mean, he is sagging a little bit, however. He's not bouncing up and down. He's sagging a little bit. I question it again, but if that's what he's done throughout his career. Nunn, on the other hand, looks like he has just come out of a double feature movie, and he's going to go back and see the second feature now. He's won the first 6. Now let's go back and see the rest, see how it turns out.
The chief man, Rodolfo Robledo, Tito Lectori over there, the cut man Miguel Diaz, they're all urging Roldan on. Round 8 scheduled for 12. And Nunn waves Roldan in. Says, let's go. And Roldan obliges.
Well, there's no end of heart to Roldan. It's a shortage of talent now. But heart is there. Determination is there. Grittiness is there.
And Nunn has to realize that.
He is an old warrior. And these old warriors don't give up easily.
Roldan's 3rd shot at a world title, rated 6th by the IBF, 7th by the WBA. Second to Nunn, who predicted an early knockout. They will have to rethink his prediction.
Now Roldan chasing more effectively. Oh, low blow. That's the 3rd time now they have warned Nunn for a low blow. If Roldan had rolled on the floor a little bit, then I had a little drama here, because it could have taken a point away from the champion.
But he wants to just continue to go at Nunn.
Nunn landing some good, hard shots, but nothing behind him.
And a right by Roldan.
You can't discount Roldan. You can't discount the fact that one punch can change this whole fight around.
And Nunn going to the head.
And Nunn got hammered again after going to the head effectively and well.
Almost a low blow again by Nunn. Roldan blocked it off.
It's almost not Nunn's fault. He's so tall, and his arms are so long, and this other guy's so short, his trunks are up, it's almost impossible not to punch. If you punch to the body, you got to hit him low. There it is. That's low.
6-inch height advantage for Nunn. A minute remaining in round 8. The action picks up. There was a crisp left by Nunn to the face of Roldan.
Roldan is really puffing now. I mean, he is huffing and puffing. His mouth is open.
Oh, and he's down on one knee. Roldan is down.
That may be all she wrote. He can get up, but I don't think he wants to.
It is all over. Michael Nunn retains his IBF middleweight championship. Round 8.
And he is cut. A little tiny cut. What a shame. What a shame. Michael Nunn, just as he was getting ready to go, inflicted a little tiny, he had a little tiny cut inflicted right on his brow. What a shame. I don't think it's significant, but any kind of a cut on a brow causes scar tissue, future worry. Just when he had it all going his way. Good combination of punches that put the brave but totally outclassed Roldan down on his haunches. I think he could have gotten up. What was the point? I think he did a very noble and good thing to stop him.
Very gutsy Roldan, and Michael Nunn in his first title defense. 2:28 of the 8th round, lifting his record to 32-0 with 22 knockouts. So 10 of his last 12 fights victorious by KO.
I think the punching got a little bit harder toward the end. Off of this fight, I still don't make him a puncher. Off this fight, I think he's a wonderful boxer, a wonderful ring general, and the kind of fighter that'll knock you out with a lot of punches. Watch Roldan, always dangerous. Look at that. He missed that right hand, though. That was not a right hand punch. He landed that one. And those are the kind of punches, of course, that make you aware that you're in with a guy could end it all in one punch. And of course the end comes with a blizzard of punches, some of which pinpoint accuracy. That one was good. Another uppercut which gets him in trouble. He's on the way down. That's it. The uppercut finishes him off. He's kneeling, and that's about all you can ask. Let's look at it. I think the uppercut was the one that just put the quietus on the whole set. There he goes. Roldan has had a good, solid professional career that he should be proud of. He's failed in 3 championship attempts. He can pick up a few more bucks fighting llamas and bulls and one thing and another in Buenos Aires, and he should forget professional boxing in the United States at this level.
He's tried it against Hagler, he's tried it against Hearns, and now against Michael Nunn, and failed in his 3 bids for a world championship, and his record now 67-5-2.
28 seconds of the 8th round. The winner by knockout victory is still the undefeated middleweight captain of the world, Michael Nunn.
Michael Nunn now 32-0 with 22 knockouts as he sends Juan Domingo Roldan to the canvas, and Nunn is standing by with the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco.
Congratulations, a wonderful display of ring generalship at the beginning. Then you seem to have read your press clippings and thought you were a puncher and started to really punch hard at the end there.
Well, no doubt about it. You know, Juan Roldan, he's the type of fighter that he'll make you fight. If he don't do nothing else, you're saying that he made one of the greatest middleweights of all time fight. That's Thomas Hearns. And I mean, the guy, that's just his style, is to make a guy fight, and he's going to bring the best out of you because he's going to come at you.
Did you feel his body shots at all? I mean, he seemed to be punching hard.
He was punching hard, but no, I didn't feel the body, believe it or not. You see, I came right back on the inside, Freddie. But I mean, he's a good puncher, and I can't say that he's not. But I mean, he never hurt one of his body shots.
You know, you got cut right at the end of the fight. I mean, right at the end. That's such a shame.
But no doubt about it, Freddie. You know, I just thank the Lord up above for giving me an opportunity to win another fight. And it was a freak accident. Yes, I got cut, and I dearly hate it. One
thing that sticks in my mind, I think you're a fine boxer. People say this guy is now a puncher. You think you're a puncher rather than a boxer?
Well, you know, I'm not going to go around saying that I'm a puncher. You know, I try to be a combination box and punch because I don't want to abandon my styles. I've done it tonight, but it won't happen no more.
Very good. And back to Steve at ringside.
Thanks, Ferdy. So Michael Nunn defends his IBF middleweight title, stays unbeaten. We are moments away from the main event. Thomas Hearns against George that electrified audiences and shocked the middleweight division.
Now that I am the world champion, I realize that I got fighters coming after me now. So that's why I got to keep going to that mountaintop, keep working hard. So when it's all over and done, I can still be champion.
The challenger, Juan Domingo Roldan, has had more experience in world title fights than Nunn. Twice before, he has fought for the middleweight crown. Both times, he was denied. Against marvelous Marvin Hagler, Roldan registered a disputed flash knockdown in the first round. Hagler, the undisputed world champion, would not relinquish his title so easily. He recovered from this setback and stopped Roldan in the 10th. 3 years later, Roldan dueled Thomas Hearns for the vacant WBC middle.
Destroy or be destroyed. Unfortunately, it didn't work out well for him with Iran Barkley.
So Hearns and Kinchin coming up later here on Showtime. But first up, it'll be the IBF middleweight championship. Michael, second to none, defending against Juan Domingo Roldan. Many of the experts, Ferdy, feel that Mr. Nunn is the best fighter pound for pound in the world today. What are your thoughts?
Well, off of one good fight, he didn't earn that type of accolade. Julio Chavez is pound for pound the best fighter. Nestle up right next to him is Mike Tyson. What Nunn must do is look very good against Roldan, and then the middleweight picture opens up for him. As he progresses, we will see whether he becomes pound for pound the best fighter.
Well, I'll tell you this, after Nunn's stunning victory over Frank Tate for the IBF middleweight championship, he returned home a conquering hero. 1988 has been a year-long celebration for this undefeated world champion. Nunn turned on the boxing world with a power serve.
Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner. He's wearing the blue trunks with white trim and weighs an even 160 pounds. His professional record, an outstanding one, 67 victories, 45 by KO, only 4 defeats and 2 draws. Ladies and gentlemen, from Argentina, the number 6 ranked middleweight in the world, Juan Domingo Roldan. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the white trunks with black letters, he also weighs an even 160 pounds. Originally from Davenport, Iowa, now living and fighting out of North Hollywood, California. Undefeated as a professional with 31 consecutive victories, 21 by KO. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the middleweight champion of the world, Michael, second time.
Weight title. The Hammer and the Hitman went toe-to-toe from the opening bell. Hearns survived the onslaught and KO'd Roldan in round 4. But the Hammer is still dangerous.
Of course, it's not a Marvin Hagler, it's not a Toney Hearns, and the opponent, but of course he's a champion of the world, and I respect him as a champion of the world, but I came to win. This time I came to win.
He's going to take my title because I'm not giving it up, and I don't think he's capable of doing that.
Roldan obviously thinks otherwise. The challenger, Juan Domingo Roldan, in the ring, ranked 6th by the IBF tonight. His 3rd shot at a world title, having lost out on opportunities against marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns. And now, the champion, Michael, second to none, into the ring. He lived up to his nickname back in late July with a surgeon-like performance against Frank Tate to win the title. There's a look at the tail of the tape. Nunn is 6 years younger, has the height advantage and the big reach advantage over Juan Roldan. Tonight is the first defense of Michael Nunn. The personal Nunn is 31-0 with 21 knockouts. The IBF rules. Nunn makes his home among the stars in North Hollywood, California, born in Davenport, Iowa. 25-year-old Nunn, one of the bright young stars of the middleweight division.
With the approval of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, this bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. Supervisor ringside is Alvin Goodman, Esquire. The 3 judges are Bob Cox, Domingo Roldan, and Paul Smith. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get it going with 12 rounds for the IBF middleweight championship of the world. The referee is Richard Steele.